WWRR, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, WMMZ, Berwick, Bloomsburg, Hazleton, WYCK, Plains.
Powered by Mohegan Sun Pocono.
The River, 105 and 103.5.
This is Music on the Menu on the River.
Timothy, where on earth did you go?
Featuring Northeast PA's best artists.
Maybe, never mind. She can move me like the stereo, like a song on the radio. She's an angel in the morning, yeah, that's me.
And now, here's your host, Alan K. Stout.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
All right, everybody. Happy Sunday night. Welcome to Music on the Menu on the River. Alan K. Stout with you as I always am. Sunday nights, 9 to 10 o'clock, bringing you regional artists doing their own original material from right here in northeastern Pennsylvania. Hanging out with D.C. Taylor. D.C., good to see you, my friend.
You too, Alan. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Here we are into August now.
Yeah, here we are.
You know, I don't know about you, DC, but I'm trying to cram in as much summer as I can over the next couple of weeks. I took my kids out to Yankee Stadium the other day. I guess it was on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm heading to the beach this week for a couple days with the kids.
Nice.
So,
very nice.
any plans for you? I know you did your Florida trip in the springtime.
Yeah, I did one in April. I'm probably going to do another one in October.
Okay.
And I also want to try to make it to at least one or two Phillies games down in Philly.
I know you enjoy that.
Yeah. So that's what I got to do. Get to a couple of Phillies games, a couple more state parks, and then Florida in October, and I'm good for the year.
I'll tell you, when you see me next week, when I come in here, I might be tired because I was kidding around with somebody this week. I mentioned to a friend I was going to the beach for a couple of days with my kids, and she said, "Well, at least you'll get to rest." All the single parents out there, the single moms and single dads, if you go away with your kids alone, you do not rest.
There's no rest.
You come back exhausted.
Right.
I mean, especially at the beach, you do not put your head down on the beach and close your eyes and sleep for a half hour. You don't take your eyes off them for 1 minute.
Right.
You get all the stuff down to the beach, and you're there, and the towels and the boogie boards and the sandcastle toys and the blankets and I have to go to the bathroom. Everybody has to walk back to the hotel because
the
you're not
logistics of all that. Yeah,
because you're not leaving one of them alone. So I've done it. This will be about 4 years now. I've been doing this, and but we have a great time.
Of course,
and,
enjoy yourself.
The memories will be fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. Let's get this show rolling. We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about during the program tonight with music. We're going to premiere some new music for our program, some new songs, and we got some stuff going on locally with some community events we want to talk to you about. So, buckle up. This is Joe Burke. This one's called Gray.
Chasing time like I've got some to waste. Writing rhymes thinking they'll fix my pace. Praying hard, I put the great love on it. Great love on my road. Selling my confidence in childish ways. Timidly searching through the blue and the gray. But I get lost in what I am saying. Quarter past and I want some kind of peace with the solid street love. And a basic tries to believe that I'm fine and not so tall. There's no say she's right, but it still helps me decide. Oh, tangled up in searching each day. Quarter past and I want some kind of peace with the sun in the street love. And I'm basic trust to believe time fine and not so tall. There's no place like home. Standing on colors go and I get lost. In the silence, oh yeah, I shake from my pulse. Up to the open air, and in the quiet, oh yeah, I shake from my pulse. Up to the open air. And I'm basic tries to believe time fine and not so tall. There's no place like home. Standing up, colors go and I get lost. And I'm basic tries to believe time fine and not so tall. There's no place like home. Standing up, colors go and I get lost.
This is Eddie Apnell, and you're listening to Music on the Menu on The River.
Warm is all I remember. Soft, such an easy touch. Sweetness, so free and giving, young. But you knew so much about love. My fatal weakness, life, and its grand facade. Hope, you said it springs eternal dreams. Must always fall. Who are you and who am I? Where on earth did we ever meet? Who are you that I can't replace? Who am I? Was I born too late? Was I born too late? It's dark. You were the one I saw, and your light filled a place in me long ago. Now I don't remember, love. You are a mystery. Who are you and who am I? Where on earth did we ever meet? Who are you that I can't replace? Who am I? Was I born too late? Now I can't trust my senses. I'm deaf, dumb, and blind. Now I've lost my defenses. Oh, am I losing my mind?
Eddie Upnell here on Music on the Menu on the River with a song called Born Too Late. Of course, Eddie, one of the hosts of the Wednesday night open mic jams at Tony's Wine Cellar in Pittston, formerly of Mere Mortals. That's the latest release that we received from Eddie. And before that, Joe Burke with a song called Gray. We're going to premiere a track for you now to the program from an artist named Christian Grotz. Christian is from the Scranton area. He's also a member of the duo The Frost, so we've played some other music from Christian here before on the program. And he keeps sending us some tunes from time to time that are solo songs, and I've liked them all. I thought we'd get it right on for you tonight. This one's called Midnight, Christian Grotz.
Midnight's back in town, comes without a sound. Way back from Hackensack he comes. Family left town, hit the ground, made his way through an underground. Wants to feel the bright light in his eyes tonight. When it all goes away and the heat from the city makes him smile, keeps him warm at night. Keep the flame inside, don't let your love die. Out on the boulevard tonight. It's ladies' night at Clancy's, margaritas at Jose, dancing girls at Starwood, always make him feel some way. Still he thinks about them as dawn turned out the light. Out on the boulevard tonight. When it all goes away and the heat from the city makes him smile, keeps him warm at night. Keep the flame inside, don't let your love die. Out on the boulevard tonight.
times and I ain't counting. Don't take very much for me to make up my mind when I'm rolling down that old road. And I'm rolling down my window. Feel the breeze going through from the place I once knew. Buddy, I'm telling you. Well, some say things never change. Some say it's all the same. Some say it's best to listen just in case. Well, there's a sunset I'm after. Don't know how many more chapters it'll take till this traveler finds that old home place. And I'll be rolling down that old road. And I'll be rolling down my window. Feel that breeze going through from the place I once knew. Buddy, I'm telling you that I'm tearing at my tiles for some highway miles. I'm a jumping at the bit just to get right out of here and get rolling down that old road. And I'll roll right down my windows. Feel that breeze going through from the place I once knew. Buddy, I'm telling you.
Dave Brown and the Dishonest Fiddlers here on Music on the Menu on the River. A song called Highway Miles. A little bluegrass for you tonight. Before that, brand new song from Christian Grunt, a song called Midnight. You know, DC, the interview that we did a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was tonight, with Jimmy Harnan. Mm-hmm. It continues to be something we get feedback on. I guess the podcast has gotten a lot of legs and people are listening to it for the first time. And I was thinking about this sort of lesson that I learned from Jimmy Harnan when he was still living here back in, this happened in 1994. Mm-hmm. So it was, what's that, 25 years ago? Yeah. Jimmy at the time was doing publicity for a really good band called Dead Letters. They were a popular alternative band from Wilkes-Barre, and they had a record out called Battering Fan, I believe. I don't know how I can remember all these things. But Jimmy was doing their PR. Mm-hmm. And I was at the newspaper, and I was the new guy. I was kind of, just starting. I think Music on the Menu was just starting around that time. I don't even know if I had the column yet. I know I was writing about music, and Jimmy knew that I was doing it. So Jimmy came down to the newspaper with the record and press kit. And I thanked him for it. And, I told him I'd be doing a story about it. And when he was walking away, he's very nice. And he said, "Oh, just so you know, Alan, I got to go to everybody with this." Yeah. And I looked at him like, "What are you talking about?" And I really didn't even know what he meant. Right. And he goes, "I got to take it over to the other papers and stuff." And I'm like, "Well, of course you do. You're doing their publicity, Yeah. I mean, thanks for bringing it to me. I look forward to writing about it." Well, Jimmy kind of looked at me like I was from Mars, because I guess he just wasn't used to this. Right. And I couldn't fathom why anybody would want him to do otherwise. I mean, we're not going to, this is local. This is local bands. Yeah. We're trying to support them and get the word out about them.
Get as much word out as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very competitive at the Times Leader in a 2-newspaper town with national acts. Mm-hmm. If Aerosmith was coming to town, I wanted to get the Steven Tyler interview or the Eddie Van Halen interview. And usually I was able to do it because I had a good relationship with the publicists and the record labels, and we had the highest circulation at the time. And we were owned by Knight Ridder for a while, so the stories would go all over the country. Yep. So I was pretty, I was fine with that. But when it came to local bands, I'm not asking anybody for exclusives or anything like that. And there was another guy at the other paper that used to do that. And, sometimes he wouldn't even write about a band for a couple of months for the new record if it came to me. Right. And, you know, and then there was another guy that I worked with at the Times Leader for a while on the weekend, and then he went over to the other paper and he started trying to pull that stuff. And I'm just saying, you know, the Jimmy Harnan thing kind of reminded me of it. If anybody does that to you and you're looking for some press for your band or something, you know, you got to consider what's their motive. You know, I mean, they really trying to, you know, support you and your music. You know, there are other stations in town that do local shows. George Graham,
Right.
and Johnny Popko, and Rich Howes at NEPA Scene, Mike Nadock.
Uh-huh.
You know, and you know, I know those guys. You know, I absolutely love what those guys are doing, and I know that none of us are pulling that old '90s newspaper stuff. You know, I used to work with, I used to cross promote George Graham. I would mention every Tuesday what he was playing. He would mention on my show, on his show. Mm-hmm. Mike Nadock used to play my music on his show. I used to plug Mike's radio show in my newspaper column every week. Mike would tell me some of the bands that he was playing, and I would, you know, tag it at the end of my column. Make sure you tune in to Cellarful. But that Jimmy Harnan came from that old school.
Right.
And you said you saw that even on the national level with with radio, you know, with a new Tom Petty release or something.
I'll just say real quick, I was working at one rock station, and Tom Petty came out with something new in 1999, and the other, our competitor got it first. So our program director at the station I was at said, when they play it, roll a tape recorder on it and get it on the air on our station. Tape it off the other station.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That was fun time.
I mean, really, I could care less about exclusives. I could care less if somebody played it a week before me or a week after me. I'd be, you know, get me your music. I put it on the air. I do my thing.
Exactly.
And I hope that everybody is doing the same thing for you, artists. And if you find somebody like those old guys I used to run back in the 90s and the early 2000s, mid 2000s, be leery. Because you know, they're not necessarily, they just want to pound their own chests and you know, say I'm the man or whatever. Right. That's not cool. Talking to Jimmy Harnan a couple weeks ago reminded me of that. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more music.
The Woodlands is celebrating 50 years. Do you believe it? 50 years. For 2 generations of the Kornfeld family, there's a pretty good chance that you or someone you know slept in one of their beds. Over those 50 years, most of you came out and partied with them on the deck for 5 Day, or inside the 25th Hour, or Evolution nightclubs. For 5 decades, how many of you have dined in their legendary Left Bank Bistro or Time Restaurant? And in half of a century, thousands of you celebrated your first dance in the Grand Ballroom. For 50 years, the Woodlands has been reinventing itself, and they're not done yet. Now, they're proud to introduce the area's newest outdoor wedding venue, the Bridal Gardens, and the creation of their Streamside Apartments. The Woodlands wants to thank all of you who got them there and invite you to swing by for sushi, grab some pizza, listen to some live music, or just stop in for a cocktail. They're not slowing down. They promise. They're just getting started. Check them out at thewoodlandsresort.com.
All right, we're back here on Music on the Menu on the River. Just to pick up on that thought before the commercial, DC, because we got a lot of good new tunes to play tonight. You know, another thing I've never really spoken about here before on the show with the artist, and the Jimmy Harnan story really just got my wheels spinning in my mind when he was talking about being on the artist and being an artist at one time and being on the other side of it.
Yep.
I did some interviews back in 2003 when I was released that song Summer Days, and I was making the rounds. The whole story behind that song, and I don't know if it's so long ago, probably half the people listening don't even remember it, but I had a song called Summer Days. I recorded it with Brett Alexander at Saturation Acres. It wasn't the first time I had recorded with Brett. It wasn't the first song I ever wrote. I had played in original bands when I was in college, going back a long time ago. But that song, my friend said, that's a pretty good song. You should, you know, maybe do something with that. Now, I had no intention of doing that. I sent it to Mike Nadock at Cellarful of Noise under a different name because I didn't want him to play it just because of favor, because, you know, he might know me. And I was already writing it for a newspaper at that time for more than 10 years. And, you know, I knew Mike from the Badleys. And Mike played it for a couple weeks in a row, you know, and talked about how he liked it on the air. And so that kind of legitimized it. And so then I, you know, I wound up putting it out a little bit more, and then wound up playing it on, you know, some of the top 40 stations. And it was on the radio all the time the one summer. But, you know, when artists send me music, and there's some people that are younger listening to the show now, some of the artists that are in the 20s don't even remember any of that stuff from when I was doing the Times Leader thing and the Weekender stuff. I had this moment with George Graham at the Homegrown show on VIA. I dropped off Summer Days for George at the front desk in an envelope with, you know, the single. And I was pulling away. George's legendary. George's been supporting local bands on the radio for, I think, almost 48 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he started in like 72. And I was pulling out of the parking lot, and I'll never forget it. I hope he likes it. And it hit me like, wow, when people drop off music, I wasn't doing a radio show yet at the time, but when people dropped off records for me down at the newspaper at the front desk, they probably had that feeling. You know, I hope he likes it.
Yeah. So
to the artists that send us music to the show, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been the guy dropping off the record, you know, hoping that as a musician, as a songwriter and somebody that had recorded. And so I take it very seriously when you send me your stuff. You send me the whole album, I'm not just going to listen to the first song and decide right then or not if I'm going to play a tune, and I'm going to listen to the whole thing a couple of times and look for the song that is best for our station, our format, our show. And I empathize with you, and I know how that feels to have that feeling after you send someone your music, and you know, you hope they like it, you know. And so here's one that we like right here. This one's from James Barrett. This is new. This is called The First Days of July.
I'm caught falling. I'm caught falling when you spin me round and take flight. You caught me falling when you gave on me tonight. Yeah, you caught me falling.
Shannon Marciotti here on Music on the Menu on the River with a song called Caught Falling from her brand new CD, Oceans. Shannon just had a very successful CD release party for the record in Hazleton. It's a wonderful album, and we'll be playing that here on the show, I have a feeling, for months to come. Before that, brand new music, relatively new music. Just got that one a couple months back from James Barrett. A great song called The First Days of July. I'm going to play a band for you now called University Drive. Great buzz on this band here in northeastern Pennsylvania. I've known their drummer, Stephen Martin, for years, going back to when he was with the Silent Treatment. He came on board for the second album called Clear, and he told me a little bit about it this week when we were having some correspondence. The record was inspired by the unexpected death of the lead vocalist and the principal songwriter's mother, Ed Cuozzo. Really good stuff from a really promising up-and-coming band from the area. Check it out. This is University Drive.
Out of control, I don't use anything. I just wish I could keep some
There's naive hope in that we all get them somehow, as long as we're like good people.
I am a node. I am surface damage. I just wish I could keep some things to myself.
Because I think that's one of those things that for me, I don't have a strong answer on, and I won't know until I'm closer to that, or have a close loved one that's passed away, which I guess ties perfectly into your next question.
Shoulder, a thought crossed my mind. I know that it's wrong, and I ask myself why. This can't keep going on. Am I losing my mind? my shoulder and knows what I fear. Whispers to me when my thoughts aren't so clear. Why does he always do this to me? I keep on praying, oh please Lord set me free. I can't get these voices out of my head. It started from youth, now they lie in my bed. All my broken angels left me for dead. Is it a nightmare or a dream? Maybe it's the devil in me. These ideas I can't comprehend. I've said it once and I'll say it again. The devil's in the details, amen. I can't get these voices out of my head. It started from youth, now they lie in my bed. All my broken angels left me for dead. Is it a nightmare or a dream? Maybe it's the devil in
Adam Knowlton here on Music on the Menu on the Rib with a brand new song called Devil in Me. And before that, University Drive with a song called Clear. I want to give a shout out to the This Week DC. I'm going to be one of the judges at the Plymouth Kielbasa Festival,
Yeah.
downtown Plymouth.
All right.
I haven't done it in a couple of years, but they asked me to come back. I know there's a lot of other folks from radio involved, friends of ours from up and down the dial. And so it will be fun to be there. And it's a great community event. And a lot of the proceeds, I believe, goes to the Plymouth Live Group, which does all sorts of great community functions in
Yeah.
the town. So come on down and see us at the festival this weekend in Plymouth coming up Friday and Saturday. We're going to take a quick break now. Be back in a flash, so stick around.
The Woodlands is celebrating 50 years. Do you believe it? 50 years. For 2 generations of the Kornfeld family, there's a pretty good chance that you or someone you know slept in one of their beds. Over those 50 years, most of you came out and partied with them on the deck for 5 Day, or inside the 25th Hour, or Evolution nightclubs. For 5 decades, how many of you have dined in their legendary Left Bank Bistro or Time Restaurant? And in half of a century, thousands of you celebrated your first dance in the Grand Ballroom. For 50 years, the Woodlands has been reinventing itself, and they're not done yet. Now, they're proud to introduce the area's newest outdoor wedding venue, the Bridal Gardens, and the creation of their Streamside Apartments. The Woodlands wants to thank all of you who got them there and invite you to swing by for sushi, grab some pizza, listen to some live music, or just stop in for a cocktail. They're not slowing down. They promise. They're just getting started. Check them out at thewoodlandsresort.com.
All right, we're back here on Music on the Menu on the River. Phyllis Hopkins is one of the great blues artists here from northeastern Pennsylvania. She's got a brand new record out called From My Soul, and this is a track from that record that we really dig. It's called The Outside.
One thing I know for sure, before I met you, my heart was restless. One thing I know for sure is that with you I could do anything I put my mind to best, yeah. And I know some days can be very challenging. I'm here to tell you
Hi friends, this is Tony Halchek, and you are listening to Music on the Menu with the one and only Alan K. Stout, right here on the river.
I think I'll go and hitch a ride San Diego to Bayside. I throw my thoughts into the deep. Spend my nights out on the beach. And then I'll stop in Washington. Yeah, I feel the cool rain on my skin. I'll stay one day, then move along. 'Cause I'm a love vagabond. Ever since my house burned down, the road's been long, it's been enough. A good pair of shoes, a walking stick, a change of clothes and a handkerchief. I'll find a way, I'll carry on. 'Cause I'm a lifelong vagabond. Find a way or carry on. 'Cause I'm a lifelong vagabond. Yeah, I'm a lifelong vagabond. Yeah, I'm a lifelong vagabond. I'm a lifelong vagabond.
Tony Halchak here on Music on the Menu on the River with a song called Lovelorn Vagabond. And before that, new music from Phyllis Hopkins with a song called The Outside. Tony's been a friend of this show for a long time now, way back to when he was playing in bands like Barefoot and Ripple Tree Effect, playing his music on the show. He later stepped to the front of the band and went off on his own singing. He was primarily guitarist in those other bands that I mentioned. He also does some stuff with Ed Randazzo and Brett Alexander with Minor Blues. And he's in the studio now working on a new record at 8 Days a Week with Paul Smith down at the former Susquehanna Sound Studio, which is now 8 Days a Week run by Paul Smith. So we'll have new music from Tony, hopefully sometime before the end of the year. Even now, as I always do at the Badleys, DC, and, I want to give a shout out to the river here. This week for me is always a lot of cobwebs in my head. It was 4 years yesterday that my mom passed away.
Yeah.
And it was my grandmother, my mom died on the 3rd, and my grandmother died on the 29th. And I don't remember much about that week from 4 years ago. My mom was in the ICU for 9 days. But I do remember this radio station being really good to me. The only time in 15 years I didn't do a show on a Sunday night, Lobo just pulled another show from that had run a couple weeks earlier, months early, and put it on. We had Music on the Menu live. I think it was with Black Tie Stereo. That was the only one I didn't host.
Right.
Lobo stepped in and hosted the show that night.
Yep.
And, you get a couple years removed from it all and you remember things like that and how important it is to have people like that around you when you're going through something like that. And so, I appreciate this radio station, and
absolutely.
What I was going through that time. And, I've seen them do it for others here as well. It's a good company to work for, the Bull Gold Media Group. I'm going to play this song with those two ladies in mind, Marianne Trineski and Marianne Zakonis, my grandmother and my mother. This song always reminded me of maybe when they come to see you once in a while in a dream. Badly's, it's called A Fever.
With blue, I dream of you in light that's blue as neon when it's blue. Past visions of rolling hills in movie stills, a panoramic stew above the scientific elements and content we spy the view. We climb to where convention swerves and leans. Couple of beers in a tent by Sears, by a giant plastic nativity scene. And colored dogs endure. Well, I'm sure the life that you've given me is mathematicians, oh, those soft renditions, the ones I've come to lean on.